Okay, good evening, everyone. Tonight is the November 9th, 2021 meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. Tonight we'll be having a quick review of the proposed CIPs, and then we'll do the Parks and Rec Department. Can you join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag? Steve, can you do the honors?
Can do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Jen.
Before we start with the CIP information, does the town manager have anything for us?
I would like to get CIP going, and then I'll have a couple things that I'll go over after they're done regarding the 2022 proposed budget.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, would you like to start?
Okay, I'm Kathy Barnard, Chairman of the Planning Board. I'm here along with Tavis Austin to present the 2022 to 2031 Capital Improvement Program. The plan was adopted by the Planning Board on October 19th after a public hearing was held. This plan is an advisory plan to aid the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee as they consider the capital needs for 2022. The Capital Improvement Program is a 10-year guide for all capital improvements expected by the town. These are developed after the committee has met with the town manager and department heads and considered the needs of the town as well as the impact on the tax rate. All of the members of the CIP committee and the department heads spend a great deal of time discussing these plans. The packet you received contains a spreadsheet. The committee is well aware of the cost of these items. It's actually, our total was in excess of $26 million. In some cases, the items have been proposed because of the possibility of grants. In other cases, the projects will be funded through fundraising efforts, such as the Library Landscaping Committee and the Pop Whalen Facility Phase 2. These projects will not go ahead unless the grants have been obtained and the funds have been raised. The spreadsheet shows all of the items the committee is aware of at this particular time for the next 10 years. Some of the projects in later years have a ballpark figure and will probably change as we get closer to the time for that project. All of the projects are spread out considering the needs of the town and the impact on the taxpayers. Also included are several capital reserve accounts, which again consider the impact on the taxpayer by adding yearly to these accounts. And I'll now turn this over to Tavis.
Thank you. So this is my first foray with the CIP in Wolfeboro. Although I was here at this time last year, all the work had been done prior to my arrival. Part of which I was thankful for, and part of which I was happy to go through the full process this year. Kathy laid it out very politely. It says 12 weeks worth of 8 o'clock Friday morning meetings with each department head, including a lot of work by Kathy Carpentier, who's here tonight and can help explain some of these spreadsheets. What I understand is that this body isn't used to having all of the documentation that you have in front of you tonight. And thankfully it's all here because it's been some time and I cannot go through in any great detail on any of the particular projects. But as you go through, starting on page 8 of the memo in front of you, it lays out all of the projects, what the CI committee vote was on those, and the anticipated funding sources. So if you get into the more expensive projects, as Kathy was discussing, particularly in the sewer pump station upgrades and the water utility upgrades, the wastewater treatment plant, all of those are in for SRF loans at this point. Dave Ford is diligently looking at the schedule to see how the prioritization is working at the state level to find out which ones will then be ripe, if you will, for warrant, if any. And then obviously the selectmen will get to choose which ones are ripe and how to fund. You know, do we take this grant that's coming in at a 50-50, or do we look at a 60-40 because we have more match available this way? So many of these are needed projects in town, so I don't want to belittle the nature. If it's was recommended and it's on the schedule, but it's suggested it's only because of the current tax or potential tax impact, that doesn't mean that there's a project in here that doesn't actually need to happen. So whether it makes it in 22 or 23, or should have happened in 21 but didn't, they're all necessities. The sense I got, paraphrasing a lot of information from Dave Ford and others, is that the utilities are in need of attention, and it's many of them can't wait much longer before getting addressed. So with that, I'm just going to jump straight to, well, I'm not going to jump that far yet. I'm going to jump to page 16. 16 outlines the Horizon projects, which are only a year away. So think of how quickly the last year went by. It's going to go the same or faster next round. So that's the next anticipated group of projects.
Can I stop you for a second, Travis?
Sure.
What's the South Main Street Route 28 upgrade? I thought that was gonna be a state job.
Yeah. It is a state job, but the state job is not all state funded.
So we have to provide $1,500,000 for a state road?
I'm not quite sure which one you're,
Public
Yes.
Works, South Main Street Route 28 upgrade.
but yes.
Why is that? What's the thinking behind that?
That's part of our match for that. We have one opportunity coming forward to get this project done. This involves some of the sidewalk, some lighting, some extra features associated with the project. The project was originally slated from Pickering Corner to the town line at a cost of, I think it was $10 million. Since that time, the scope of the project has been cut back to the intersection of South Main and either in the area of Cross Road or Pleasant Valley Road because of cutting expenses at the federal and state levels. We're looking to try and get some of those funds back so that we can do two things. One, go the full length to the town line, and two, to complete the section from Pickering Corner to the bridge at Smith River, which, if you think about that part of the project, the infrastructure is 100 years old here. We're gonna be replacing it. It's gonna be going into an infrastructure to the Smith River that's 100 years old. So we'd really like to be able to make that whole project one complete thing.
Is that part of the $1.5 million?
That is not, but we've had conversations with Congressman Pappas. I was supposed to meet with him later this week, but I'm not able to. But we are pushing, and he has looked at it and said, this makes all the sense in the world. We don't know if we'll get there or not, but that's what we're looking at.
So the reason, one of the reasons the 1.5 is in there is the actual number is 3. And it's in DOT's fiscal 24, which means we have to start appropriating the money now because of how that, their fiscal year and our fiscal year don't line up numerically.
So you're gonna be doing this for 2 years, so this year, next year, to get to 3.
Correct.
And so the project isn't even gonna be in the headlights, so to speak, until 24?
Correct. And it made more sense, frankly, to look for 1.5 and 1.5 than it did just to wait for 3 to come flying in next year. But that is potentially an option. The other part of that's the South Main Street engineering, which is the $50,000. That's what digs into the pipes themselves.
So will this be a warrant article for this year?
We're working on warrant articles right now. I can't tell you yes or no yet.
Okay. Because if this is a priority, in my mind, you talk about utilities, this should go head of some of the other want to or wish for stuff and in the CIP, in my opinion.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the federal money
I'm
is,
just-
the federal money is there, and the state money is there.
Right.
And I have a meeting Thursday to take it the next step, so that soon we can get the local committee back engaged to redefine and move forward.
Okay.
Yes.
I just got one more quick question. You mentioned about going to the Smith River Bridge. I don't, days seem to come into years, but I think maybe 20, 25 years ago, they did a bunch of work in front of the shopping center up through to the Wright Museum.
They
They
did.
did some pipes. What was that all about?
I couldn't
Do
tell
you
you.
remember that, Linda?
The Wright Museum?
Well, from maybe the shopping center area up through there, they did a bunch of pipes and things through there, probably 20 years ago.
You mean do the drainage down into?
The Center Street utilities were upgraded, yes, but
Okay,
all
is
the
that what
lines
that
going
was?
down South Main have not.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, thank you.
So right now, from Brewster down is all 100-plus-year-old pipe. And
So when you say pipe, we're talking what kind of pipe? Like water pipe, sewer pipe?
stormwater, water, sewer,
Okay, okay. Just want to be clear.
yeah.
Thanks.
The town's plumbing entirely.
Gotcha.
So back to page 16, Horizon projects, those would be the ones slated for 23. The only difference between 16 and page 17 is 17 is later than 23. Capital reserve accounts are broken out in here, it also goes to the spreadsheet. So one thing I wanna make clear, on the first spreadsheet you have in front of you, that is all of the projects that were submitted on the project request forms this year. Just because it's in this spreadsheet doesn't mean it's recommended in the narrative. And you see down at the bottom, the 26,069,000 total. Next page after that is capital reserve funding. Yes, it only goes to 28, it only projects out to 28 because that's the information that was provided at that meeting. Third spreadsheet is those projects that would be funded out of general fund. The next is the existing debt schedule, broken out through 31. We're getting into Kathy territory if you've got questions.
I do have a question on the, excuse me, the debt service, does that include the proposed projects or only what is on the books right now?
It does, at the footnotes on the bottom, assumes a 10-year bond payment of 1.3 million at 3.125%, and 2023 for Pop Whalen, $250,000. So no, it is a projection of bond debt with
So
those
this-
two things in it.
Yep, this was the thing that you and I
Yes,
talked about,
correct.
CIP was
Correct. Pro forma, I
the,
believe is the
this is what
word,
it would look like if we did everything.
based
Correct.
on these assumptions of 10 years and those interest rates.
Okay, thank you.
And then the last two sheets are the vehicle replacement, capital reserve fund for vehicle and equipment replacement, first for DPW and then for the fire department. So if there's questions on any particular project or funding mechanism, feel free to hit me with an email and I will get the appropriate department in touch with you.
Can you answer just general questions on some of these things?
I will do my best. That's why I brought Kathy.
The Public Works Highway Department, town road upgrades, 1.3 hundred. And then it mentions $200,000 for town crew work road work. Is that part of the 1.3?
Yes. That's
So
my
that, is that gonna
understanding.
show as a revenue, or how's that gonna come in?
So that's for the supplies related to doing paving, preparing for paving, gravel, getting to the point where we can manage those smaller projects. For example, this year, Department of Public Works did a lot of the work on in conjunction with a contractor, on both Stoneham and the Clark Road. They did the edging, which required the rental of a machine. And it actually laid out a very, very nice project. It wasn't the full construction, but it was the tying up of some of those smaller items within the project.
Okay, so there'll be 1 million for Maplewood, Berrywood, Partridge, and then $300,000 for the rest of the town roads.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's also, that, I've been already working on the warrant article for that one, and that one's very complicated because it also involves potential, state revolving fund monies for water line replacement as well. So that particular project is very complicated.
But I guess what I'm asking is, since it's only, we must have our roads up to a standard where we don't have to do $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 if you only need $300,000 to take care of all the other roads. Is that a fair statement, or?
I don't think so. I think, you know, these roads, this particular development needs a lot of work. It ties into a new set of best management practices where the water goes down into Forest Road, and it gets significant amount of treatment before it hits any of the bodies of water. So I don't think it does. Those will be more questions that will be pointed toward Dave Ford once we get into the warrant article discussions about those.
Thank you. You folks have anything else?
No.
Anyone else have any questions?
My standard question is, as far as like, we'll use this as an example, this town roads upgrade, this 1.3 million. Is that gonna, will that be put to bid? And if it's not, if it's gonna be, tried to be worked into, the highway department, have them do it, Dave Ford and his department do it? I'd like a breakdown of, because we already have, the highway department's wages in their budget. So if it's gonna be done by us versus have it go to bid with a contractor, I'd like to see a breakdown of materials versus labor and how that reflects on Dave Ford's highway department payroll budget, basically. If you see where I'm going. So I wanna know with the 1.3, is that for like, the town just pays a contractor to do it and they do labor and materials? Or is somehow we gotta work that into us doing it, the town doing it? And then how does that reflect? And we've had this discussion before, so when we get to that point, I'd like to know what that's gonna be.
And I don't think that is gonna be an issue whatsoever related to materials. I think where we are going to have difficulties is when we start talking about labor expenses associated with it. Cause how do you deal with that? Do you break that out into a separate warrant article? Because they're already budgeted wages here.
That's my point.
And
That's my
that's-
point exactly. So if we've already budgeted for a full 52-week year, they've already got their time allotted for highway things. So if we're adding this in, it's either gotta have a reflected less for labor, because we've already accounted for it over here. See where I'm going with it?
Well, I mean, I guess we can do that, but we're gonna have to talk about costs of equipment, all of that stuff, and that.
I agree. It just, when we get to these types of things, it's like we're just adding it to the already existing budget in the highway department. I mean, yes, it's specific to Berrywood, Maplewood, but we've already got a budget for labor in the highway department budget.
Okay,
So
well.
does that make sense at all?
May
Yeah,
I?
please.
It does make sense, and my understanding is if you ever put labor into warrant articles, it's just anything above and beyond the normal work week. So say they had to shut down the road on a Saturday.
Okay.
That is not budgeted as part of the 52 weeks that you spoke of.
Gotcha.
So we would need to have that kind of labor in here.
Okay.
But the normal 9 to 5 or whatever their hours are,
Right.
52 weeks.
And I guess that's what I'm at, so thank you for that explanation.
We don't cost that out to this project
Okay.
because that is already raised and appropriated in the public works
Okay.
budget. It would only be incremental expenses. But
Thank you.
I did hear the question and
Okay,
wrote down a
good,
note.
thanks.
Bob,
Yes,
Bob?
John?
you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say thank you to these folks for coming in, and I wanna say thank you to Bob Lohman for being our guy on the CIP committee.
Here, here.
I've been there, and I know how much work is involved, so thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you.
Have a nice Thanksgiving if I don't see you.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager.
Make sure you get your turkey early.
So, I'm gonna try to go over a couple things regarding the budget books. Before we do that, I just gotta have a couple housekeeping things related to the library and the usage of the library. As of tonight at 7 o'clock, they're closing, so the restroom facilities are across the hall. You can use those. If you go outside,
Can't get back in.
you're gonna have to have somebody go with you because you're not gonna be able to get back in. Additionally, we have to break this down at the end of the night, so if we could get some help for stacking chairs and putting tables away, it would be greatly appreciated. Short of that, I will quickly go over our 2022 proposed operating budget, which is $30,301,103. Couple of notes to go over. When you go through it, you're gonna see some changes in the book. I've heard some positives, I've heard some negatives, but at the end of the day, we believe that it is much more transparent to the taxpayers. We believe it's much more transparent to the departments, and we have it complete, which has been a goal we've been trying to get for a long time, the completed books, and they're available on the town webpage. So the first thing you're gonna see is it's a different type of MuniSmart report. It's not gonna show you the percentage ups and downs. We'll go over that in just a second. You're gonna see a new labor worksheet, which helps to clarify labor costs. You're gonna see better accounting for phone stipends, insurances, and legal expenses. And one of the other items that's really kind of interesting that we were able to work out this year, if you remember from your previous books, every department accounted for budgets, or for fuel, as did the Public Works Garage, and then we showed a revenue. So we were double booking, for all intents and purposes, fuel. We've removed that all from the Public Works budget, and it's all now broken out by department. So this is the first page in your book. This gives the outline of the general fund, the water fund, the electric, sewer, and Pop Whalen. Gives you the 2021 actual budget that was voted on, the department request, changes I made, the Board of Selectmen changes, and the proposed budget that you have in front of you. You'll see the next set of line down where it says capital outlay. That is the 2021 request for capital outlays. And then you'll see the 2022 request for capital outlays, which there are a lot of asks this year, and that number is quite high. And we'll go over those individually, and there is a standalone tab for capital outlays within the book. So when you see the MuniSmart report, this is the town manager's. It goes back to the 2018 actual expenses, 2019 actual expenses, right up through the end of October expenses for the departments. Additionally, you'll see the town manager's request and the Board of Selectmen's request. At the bottom, in bold, is the gross number. The detailed book this is where you're gonna see your ups and downs, and the explanations. So, when you look down through this, you're gonna see the, line item number, you're gonna see the title of that line, you're gonna see an explanation, you're gonna see 2021, 2022, and the dollar and or percentage change. One of the things that has transpired as well, we broke life and disability insurance, workers' comp out into a standalone line as recommended by DRA. But what we've done is we've put that back in here so you can see the actual increase comparatively. Same thing with insurance and legal. Legal is broken out into its own line. So you'll see the operating budget, or the detailed budget increases for that department, and then you'll see it with those items added back in. This is probably one of the better sheets within this to show some transparency. This gives you the employee's name, which all employees in the town are listed, gives you the rate of pay for the 13 weeks, the hours per week, and then the 39 weeks with the raise considered, and then if there are length of service stipends, those are identified in here to show the annual wages. So as you look down across, that gross number also includes telephone stipend, FICA Medicare, New Hampshire retirement, health insurance, dental insurance, life and disability, workers and unemployment and workers' comp insurance to give you the total cost of an employee. And then it also gives you the total cost without benefits, with benefits, for all employees within that department. The other thing that you'll see when you get into some of these departments, Department of Public Works is a perfect example. Dave Ford, he's 60% on the general fund. You'll see this, what the 100% cost is for the employee, and then you'll see the 60% cost that it hits that budget. So what are some of the known increases that we have? Labor and benefits at this point, 8.3%, or $738,000. What's in that proposed increase in staffing at the fire department of 1? This year we have the technology services position, which is full-time. We had that approved for half a year last year. And the juvenile services officer for a full year as part-time. Last year of the police union contract, 4%. All non-union employees this year, 4% raise. New Hampshire retirement system increases, group 1. We talked about this a little bit last year, but we have the full hit of that this year. 13 went from 13.75 to 14.06 for group 1. Police went from 30.67 to 33.88, and fire went to 29.78 to 32.99. At this point, we're still waiting on health insurance. We hope to have that later this month, but at this point, we are looking at a 10% placeholder. Hopefully, we can gain some efficiencies in the budget there. Operating expenses. The general fund operating expenses right now are up 4.6%, or $270,889. We had a pretty big hit on property liability insurance, 13.7. Agencies up 44.7%. But you need to remember, last year we did not have senior meals for $25,000. That's put back in this year. And we've also got an additional request from a new agency, which is in your book. Tipping fees at solid waste have gone up 18.2%, or $81,000, and increased debt service is voted by the voters 6.3, or $69,000. So that makes up 220,000 of our increase. We also have seen an increase in fuel costs, heating costs, and capital outlay, as you see here, $147,000 increase over last year's request. The good news is we do have a tax rate set. We discussed it the other night at the Board of Selectmen. Last year, we anticipated if all warrant articles passed, that we would see a 2021 tax rate of $5.59 per thousand. Remember, there were 2 warrant articles that did not pass, one for 12.6 cents, another one for 2.8 cents. We also saw an increase in our evaluation, and we had better than anticipated revenues. So what's that all mean at the end of the day? That means we came in with a tax rate that has an increase of 2 cents on the town side. So from the town's perspective, we went from $5.26 to $5.28. So we feel that we've done a good job in keeping the town's tax rate in check. With that said, I'll close the PowerPoint. We do have the operating budget for Parks and Rec to go through. Christine and Bo are here. Kathy, do you have anything that you would like to add?
I passed out a page number sheet. It's based on sections. So tonight we're going to go to section 14, and the chairman has okayed us just going in order as it is in your books. So we're going to start at Parks Admin on page 1, Department 45201, after an opening statement from the director.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, thanks for meeting today. So before you is my budget. I think you'll find a well thought out budget. I tried to utilize things I've already had, so you will see some cuts in some places that we did not need to spend. So I made the appropriate cuts for that. And that's all I have. And this is Bo Betts. He is my new assistant director. I don't know if, were you at the last one?
Yeah.
Yep, so, yeah. He's not new anymore. Okay.
Okay.
Back to you.
Okay, let's start at Parks Administration, the 100 series. The 200 series. $300 series. Christine, what's going on in the rentals and leases? Drop that down. Well, those for the portable toilets,
No, that's our we paid off our caravan that we were leasing.
Okay.
So now we own it.
okay. 500, 600, 700, 800. And that's it on administration.
Page 6 is Parks Maintenance, Department 45202.
$100 series. $117 part-time wages. You only spent $10,000 in this past year, and you're up to $33,000. Actually, $39,000. What do you got for changes going on there? What's going on there?
Maintenance workers, you were trying to investigate.
Yeah, I thought that was 114, it's 117. Oh, yeah, sorry, 117. Yeah, so I'm bringing, this year we struggled, we've been struggling every year. Our wages are a little low for the, those positions, the maintenance worker, the seasonal, gardener and all that. So we wanted to up that to be more uniform with, Adam Tasker's, like the dump positions, the trash people. Oftentimes, he doesn't have a full 40 hours to give them, and I don't have sometimes a full 40 hours to give people, or they only want to work so many. We tried to job share, but his rate was so much higher than mine that we couldn't do that. So we're hoping, being more at the same level, we can share people and then give people the full 40 hours to secure them for filling our positions. Because I believe Adam was struggling as well, filling those spots this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
200 series.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
a little louder, please.
Okay.
I have a little trouble hearing you down this end.
200 series.
Us old guys.
300 series.
Some of us old guys.
300 series. 400 series. 500. 600.
I have a question.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Line 635, gasoline, is that a function of unit cost?
Is that a function of what?
Is it a function of unit cost or gallonage, that increase?
I believe the rate increase for the gallons is what that was.
So the gallons remain relatively stable?
Yes, yep.
Just for grins and giggles, what has been the increase in the rate percentage-wise? Maybe Jim knows that one.
So,
Rough.
the fuel, or gasoline is really hard because it moves every month on us.
Right.
I wanna say propane was,
I don't know the percent increase, sorry.
I wanna say propane was like 40 cents. We went from like $1.13 or $1.03, something like that. And ended up having to change vendors, so we saw a substantial increase in propane. Diesel, I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I can get those percentages based on the bid for you.
Yeah, just
Yep, we can
give us a
get that for
frame
you.
of reference.
Yep, I put it as a follow-up.
Go ahead, John.
It seemed to be that it looks about double of 2021, but that seemed to be a little bit shy of what it really looks like it's gonna be. The fuel cost has gone up more than twice from 2021 budget. What's the factor being used here?
$3.22 a gallon.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. 700 series. Okay, we'll go to parks maintenance. Go through that, I'll set it.
That was,
Yeah, I just wanted to look at something I was gonna ask you
Okay.
about it here. All the problems with, I can't think of the invasive species that was at a couple of the parks, is that all taken care of? The one down off of,
That's Conservation Commission.
that's conservation, okay, so they don't have nothing to do with that? You guys don't maintain it? Okay.
I was like, what?
Figured
Next.
someone might have slid it in here.
Next department is beaches, Department 45203 on page 12.
Uh, 100 series. I'll ask why the big jump.
we have a lease with Brewster, so one of the things we needed to do, at Brewster is have lifeguards every time we're open there. So I had to up that, and then, I think that was the only thing. Yeah, that was it, that was the reason. Oh, no, sorry, the one other thing was, when we had the beach discussion, was man the beach from Memorial Day through Labor Day, so to make sure we had someone there.
200 series. 300. 400. 500. 600. 700. 800.
'Kay, I also point out on the bottom of page 16, we did, as suggested, add projected revenues for this department. You'll see a few of them. If there was an offsetting revenue for programs, we put it at the bottom at the suggestion of the selectmen.
Great, thank you. Okay, now we'll switch to Abenaki.
Page 18, Department 45204.
$100 series. $200. 300. 400. 500. 600. 800.
John, I have a question there.
Yes, John.
Professional development, you got $1,990. Is this based upon scheduled training?
Yeah, so in that one, it's, well, it's first aid and CPR for most of our staff, and then it has the background checks in there. That varies, cause sometimes we'll have all new staff, so we have to do them, and sometimes if it's returning staff, we don't have to do them. And then it's a national ski conference in that one.
Over the years, I found that this is one line throughout the budget areas, that it's budgeted for a certain amount, but not expended nearly as much.
And I would agree with you wholeheartedly on the past 2 years, because of the lack of conferences, the lack of travel associated with COVID. I can't speak for all the other departments previous to that, but I can speak to the fire department previous to that, because that's where it was, and we used it. That's an item that you'll have to take up with each individual department head. But I do try to promote the department heads sending their staff to professional development. The fortunate thing is, a lot of the courses, we have at no expense because it's our property liability provider that puts the trainings on for us. But, some of these other things like the National Ski Conference, you have to travel for that, so.
I fully support, in fact, when I was a commander of some units, and we had to ship people off to training, I had some people standing by, and we'd get a call back and we send them off to training.
I'm with you, John. Professional development's very important.
Okay, anything else on Abenaki?
The one thing that I would say about this particular budget, if you recall last year, we came in front of you with some pictures of the rope tow, the deplorable condition it was in. We did do some work on that this year. We've got more work to do for replacement of that facility, but we're doing some upgrades right now to get us over the hump, so that the employees can exit the building safely, and whatnot. We are looking at the future of potential replacement, but that's gonna be a few years out. So we're doing some stopgap measures to make it much more safe for the employees.
Question,
Yes, sir.
in relation to that, Jim, this is to offset the cost of a new motor house, is that, am I reading you right? Or putting the cost off?
We're putting the cost off. We are not coming forward. Right now, they're estimating $300,000 to $500,000. And my argument is, we don't need to run power to the top of the mountain to operate the motor, which is a huge expense. We should be able to set that up at the bottom. The engineers are saying no. Well, every other ski area in the state has them operated from the bottom, so I'm not sure what's going on, but we
Okay.
got more work to do.
Thank you.
Page 24, hockey rinks, Department 45205.
Okay, 8:30 programs. Just so I'm straight, this is what the town pays to buy this ice time for these practices, correct? This time?
Yes, for the hockey rink,
Yeah.
yes. It's for the public stick, public skating and lap skating.
Any questions on the hockey rink?
Yes, a quick one. I assume that the reduction in the 2021 actuals is due to COVID?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Page 26, Department Programs, Department 45206.
I'm sorry, can we just back up? What was that
Yeah,
question?
what was that question?
I think I know your answer. Can you repeat the question? The actuals are down, right?
Yeah, the actuals are down, I was just
So
wondering what.
this is billed quarterly,
Ah,
Yeah.
so we got one more quarter to pay.
no, so we don't really know what the effect of COVID was.
On that side, we still booked ice. I think we weren't down on that because we still booked it for the public. I think you'll see it on the side of individuals coming to pay. It might have been lower, but the ice was still there.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, programs, 100 series. This has steadily been going up in the part-time wages. What's that due to? More programs or more employees or?
I think the only thing we did in here was just, it was their raises.
Okay. 200 series. $300. $400. $500. $600. You gonna have enough money there for the diesel fuel? That kinda looks a little low. Is that the price, Jim, 243? Okay. 800. set on that section.
Page 32, Community Center, Department 45207.
$300 series. 400. 600. And 700.
Page 34, Patriotic Purposes, Department 45831.
Okay, any questions on the 800 series? Okay, we'll move on.
Page 36, Department Fireworks, Department 45832.
Okay, is that just for the 4th of July, or does that have something else with it?
Just the 4th of July.
4th of July?
We're gonna pay for some fireworks on the 1st of July, 1st of January.
Nope, they actually raised money.
Yeah, we got 2,500 in the 2021 budget, and we have raised our share of 2,500, so we'll have the $5,000 to put on December
sorry?
31st.
They
I
had
couldn't
25,
hear you.
they had 2,500 in the budget, and they raised 2,500, so they're gonna pay for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're all set on fireworks, let's move on.
Page 38, Clock House, Department 45892.
$400 series. $600. And 800.
So I just wanna give the budget committee a heads up. This is an area next year where we may see some increases. We've got some work to do with that facility on some of the buildings. We're working through that right now. But we've got some significant repairs that have gotta be done down there going forward, just as an FYI.
Is it, what did we do several years ago? Was it just the foundation on the, I thought we did some work on the foundation at one point.
Not sure. Not sure. All I know is we've got some sills that are rotting. We've got some, as a result, some doors which are entry and egress doors which are jamming. We've got some serious repairs that have gotta take place down there in the coming years.
Okay, thank you.
John?
Yes, sir.
We did have a problem with the foundation of one of the buildings, when Ethan Hippel was the director. That's going back a ways.
It's the.
And about a couple of years ago, I believe the firehouse was painted.
Yep.
They were all painted last summer.
It's the schoolhouse.
Okay, any questions on the clock house?
Next one, page 40, is Department 41950, which is cemeteries, which rolls up under the Parks and Rec Director.
$400 series. $600 series. Christine, we have someone that's going around and fixing the broken headstones, right? How's he doing on that?
Good. I don't know if you've been to if you drive by Pine Hill Cemetery, it's not that they're just fixing them, but they're a lot brighter and
Yeah.
whiter. They've cleaned. So they're done with Pine Hill Cemetery and they're moving on to other ones. They're going to ones that definitely need it right away, like if there are certain stones, but to complete each cemetery they're going through and trying to just get all of them done.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, it looks pretty amazing.
What is that cemetery up on Stoddard and Cooper? Is that the town or is that private?
Not sure.
We'd
Yeah.
have to look that up.
I'm not
I can
sure.
get back to you on it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it's just it's pretty raggedy in there. It's a nice old cemetery, but it's not any maintenance in a while. Old Town?
Yes, some of them I know, are some private ones, it's on private property, and some people don't want us to get on them, but we are making our rounds, so yeah.
It's a
I'll check
good
that out.
sized cemetery. If
Yeah.
it is private, it's pretty
Okay.
big.
Let me check that out.
Okay, 400 series, 600 series.
We can. I don't know much about it.
Sky is blue.
Okay, isn't this someone from, I bet the Libby is the next one, isn't there a person from the Libby that?
Oh, yeah, that's not mine.
No.
And you have it scheduled on another night, so,
Yeah, Libby's a different-
Okay,
I'm not sure who will be
We're gonna
presenting
go to
it,
the
but it's
pop-
not, scheduled until December 20th. So,
Tab 14.
so there is a capital outlay,
Short operator.
no, your truck,
What about we?
Pop Whalen, I'm sorry.
So I think they
We
wanna.
could have done it either way. Sorry.
You wanna?
Sorry, Pop Whalen, taking you to tab 14.
Ours is out of order.
So page 1 is personal administration for Pop Whalen, Department 41550. I guess I'll speak to this. This says enterprise fund has the health insurance and dental as it did in the past year. However, this year we have broken out life, disability insurance, unemployment, workers' comp. And so this is the cost to Pop Whalen for all of those benefits. But they're in addition, they're by person on the labor sheets also.
okay, any questions on, 550?
So the next department is on page 4, actual Pop Whalen Ice Arena, Department 45890.
45890,
45890,
thank you.
back in tab 14, yeah.
Okay, 100 series. You do a good job, Christine, on keeping the overtime down. I think you probably have the lowest overtime in the town, I think.
I work them ragged during the week. They don't
That's
want
good.
it.
You're some good workers. 200 series. $300 series.
300 series, John?
Yes, sir.
Administrative cost allocation? You knew I was gonna do it.
I'll defer that to with my finance director.
So what would the question be? Just why is it decreasing?
Yeah, is it reallocation, reapportionment, what's going on? Or is the overall number that you're taking the administrative cost allocation to spread across the revenue funds less?
Right, it is less, and we changed a little bit of, I didn't bring that sheet with me today, so I am caught off guard, but I did just create it. We took a little bit of a different spin on things, like the IT administration was a little bit different based, so the software and hardware was based on the units, on the computer units that everyone had, but the administrative part was split out differently for all the enterprise funds, and so was the town manager, the finance department, billing. So it's all a calculation based on, for the town, for the tax collector, it's based on bills. For IT, it was based on two different things. One, how many units each enterprise fund has, and then admin piece. And I believe that's it. I could hand it out to you if you'd like.
If you have it,
So the breakdown of it is under the summaries
Okay.
of your budget,
oh, okay.
under page 6 of your summaries.
Is that on this,
Wow, who did that?
is that on this thing here? So I can
Nope,
find
just
it.
up in tab 1, in the first couple pages of tab 1 that says summaries.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
That's good. I'll look
Thank
it
you.
up. I'll
Page
look-
6.
I'll look it up, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
There was a little bit different looking at it because you now have a full-time IT person.
Okay, thanks.
400 series. $500. $600.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Propane, that's a function of cost, unit costs, I assume?
This propane for, the tanks are the ones we use for the Zamboni. And then we actually switched to propane, for the back
It's-
boiler.
That's why the heat and oil is down.
Yes.
So we transitioned the Zamboni heated water from a boiler that was not cutting it, it was failing, replaced it with a propane
I remember that boiler.
system. So, yeah, it is, that's the reason, and you should see an offset as mentioned in oil.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
700 series. $800 and $900. Now do we go to capital outlay? Is that what we have left?
Yes, page 30 of the capital outlay section is a request from the Parks and Rec director for a truck.
Tab 15?
Tab 15.
15, yes, capital outlay, page 30. You're getting good. You can treat it, oh God.
So all I have is this.
That's it.
Okay. Are you waiting for me to talk? Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so, Parks and Rec currently has, 2 trucks and 1 caravan. They're all brand new vehicles, so we're pretty grateful for that. We ran all of our other vehicles literally into the ground. But what we're finding is with our staff, we have a lot of staff and we don't have a lot of vehicles. And what we're finding is a lot of people are having to use their own vehicles. I truly try to take the hit myself when I go to meetings and stuff, try not to use a vehicle. But when they're out in the field and they're using equipment, it's not conducive for working when you're trying to put a lawnmower into the back of your car. So we really need another vehicle for Parks and Rec to really be able to do our job.
We have researched a series of different vehicles. We did look at some of the options for electric vehicles, but you have to have a trade-in of a diesel. We don't have a trade-in that would work. So we have looked at other options on this. And I think one of the things that's important about this to understand, as Christine alluded to, you know, loading a mower into somebody else's pickup with the number of cemeteries that they maintain, it's pretty important that we look at another vehicle for this particular department to be able to meet the needs of those cemeteries and all those other projects that this department does. We did look at different options for smaller pickups, but we thought it kind of made sense to get something that was compatible with what she has now. In case one of them goes down, they can haul the trailers around and whatnot. So that's kind of where we're at with this truck. And then of course, as we all know, it's gonna be a supply issue when we get to that point, trying to find one as well.
Question?
Go ahead,
What's the
Bob.
current fleet?
We have one 1-ton up pickup and then we have a caravan. So on the maintenance side, I have 2 vehicles, and on the administrative program side, I have 1 vehicle.
And that caravan was a lease and it was paid off last year. Last year was the last payment on that lease,
I thought you had two
or this year.
trucks.
I do, one's a 1 ton and one's a pickup,
Cab.
yeah, cab, extended.
Yeah, and what, how come you're looking for a cab work truck? I mean, is it the same price as a regular pickup? And if is a regular pickup less than the cab behind?
I mean, I could check it out, but
Just
sometimes
curious.
we have more staff, like, so we're trying to put more staff in the car, like if we have 4 people, cause we'll have 4 people will go out to one cemetery to try to bust it out.
Okay, okay. Cause one of the vehicles you have is a cab now, right?
Yes.
Okay,
The
and is that a plow truck too?
Silver Ford.
Oh,
That's the
yes.
extended cab.
Oh, I thought he said it wasn't an extended cab, yes.
And that's a plow truck too, right? That one?
We,
Or is it
yes,
the other one?
that one, we do have a plow on it, so we plow like the parking lots that we maintain.
Okay.
Sean over here.
Yeah, Tom, go ahead.
I should probably know this from history, but why doesn't Public Works take care of the cemeteries, plowing and cutting grass? And don't we outsource some of the cemetery, or maybe those are private cemeteries, I don't know. But I'm more curious about the Public Works piece. Why Parks and Recs versus Public Works?
So Parks and Rec maintains like our properties, so they're mowing the parks, they're mowing, well, the parks and the cemeteries. Cemeteries fall under Parks and Rec, it's just the way it has been. And as far as plowing, we're only plowing like the community center parking lot, any of the buildings we maintain. They're more plowing the roads and streets, we're doing our buildings. I don't know, that, I can
Curious
share
about
it.
the effectiveness of that.
Well,
you know, versus.
so you make an interesting point. Most communities have a department that takes care of the cemeteries. It's kind of odd that Parks and Rec does it, but I don't see any communities out there really that it falls under Public
Public
Works
Works.
either. So, I think it was something that was thrown under Christine 4 or 5 years ago, cause somebody needed to do it, and she got minimal amount of resources to help her out.
Who
with
did it
but
before?
She's there.
Who did it before?
I don't know how it was done before, do you?
I don't know.
Probably not done very well,
Right.
not very often, as I recall.
Yeah, I think there was a reason why we had to
Yeah, I
take it
think
over,
we-
cause
what-
I think it wasn't it volunteers of,
There may have been for a while, we just weren't taking care of them, they were getting overrun, and we really needed to take care of them.
Interesting, thank you.
Parks and Rec might have taken it over even before you were director, I think. This has been going on for a while.
yeah, I don't, was it before Ethan? Or was
I
it
don't
with
know
Ethan?
exactly when.
Yeah.
It was.
I think it was Sue was here.
Yeah, so I think we've had it since Sue.
This is a tough year for everyone, Christine.
I know.
Inflation and all the other things. Can we have, isn't there a pickup truck kicking around the highway department that you can borrow? Oh, don't shake your head like that, Jim.
There's not. There's not.
I wish we could do something else. It's just $35,000 for a new pickup during this time of the year, and the way the country is and everything else, inflation and gasoline and all this other stuff. I wish you could put this off for another year. Cause I see a couple other things, one other thing, I guess, or 2 more things that you'd like to get. You know, you might wanna try and see if you can get a lease, do a lease deal that, you know, for, I think there's some of those are pretty good out there. You know, that's just me, the other folks may not agree with me. That's just me speaking out loud. But a lease option might be a little better. It's just hard for $35,000 right now to be spent. We've got some other things that we need to take care of. Not that you're not important, but.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, am I understanding the chairman correctly that if we went out and investigated the lease option, that you would like us to bring that back in front of you, is that correct?
You can bring whatever you want in front of us.
Touche.
I like lease offers because I don't think you'll do more than 12,000 miles a year with that truck. I can't imagine that you do. There was,
Yeah, cause they're more in-town vehicles, yeah.
yeah, and I think $3,000 a year for a lease is more applicable, what I can take rather than spending $35,000 for a new one. But that's just me. Again, these folks may disagree with me. They may,
No,
yeah.
I concur, totally.
Sorry, go
I
ahead,
think
Bob.
that needs investigation.
I think Parks and Rec needs a truck. whether it's a lease or a purchase, I don't really care about that, but, might not be a bad idea to take a look at a lease option, and we have plenty of time left in our budget season.
So can we put this on as a revisit then?
Sure.
Of course. Yeah.
Maybe we could do a trade with, Highway gets one less truck and Parks and Rec gets a truck.
Yeah, I love it.
I'd love that idea. Let's do a little trading around here.
One more thing that, the state's offering 25% off an electric vehicle, electric pickup truck, if you trade in a diesel. So another option would be to buy a used diesel, something that's decent, that can get you by for a year or two, trade it in towards an electric pickup truck later and add another electric vehicle to the fleet.
Especially if there's such a round town vehicle not doing a lot of,
We'll,
distance.
we'll
Mr. Town Manager,
investigate,
whatever you'd like
come
to
back
do.
with better answers.
Okay, now, there's a new mower, is that it?
Nope, that's done.
That was pulled out.
That was out, so I can
Yes,
take that out
At
of
the
here.
bottom.
That's
They
it,
did it.
that's all I have.
That is all for Parks and Rec and all that was on your agenda for this evening.
Does anyone have any other follow-up questions with, Christine while she's here?
I just want to compliment Christine on the fine job that you do.
Oh, thank you.
And also, isn't it nice that the Friends of Abenaki were able to kick in that amount of money?
Yes.
And I was up there, because we were up there every day, just
Yes,
about.
I know.
And the pipes are starting to go up, and they're doing, the bike trails up there are amazing.
Yep.
That's, I don't know who's funding that, but that's pretty awesome. So thank you.
You're
very much.
welcome. We
And
have-
if
we
you,
have
if
good
you ever
support.
need a volunteer for whatever.
Okay, well,
you've
the
got-
turkey trot's, November 20th.
Oh, there you go.
You're available, we'll see you there.
No.
Get his phone number.
Do you, no, I'm serious. We have done that in the past.
Do you have?
Yeah.
Well, the Lions.
Well,
Club
we've
knows-
done, we've done both the trot as well as,
Go ahead, Bob.
All kinds of kudos to Kathy.
Yes.
This is the very first readable, workable, enjoyable budget process that we've had, ever.
yeah, I'm all right, yeah.
She's not a queen for nothing.
And we've got the pictures to prove it.
I appreciate.
Hold on for just a second.
No, no, she don't need Snickers bars.
Hold on. Go ahead, John.
Just like to make a comment here. Having observed this young lady, her operations both in the budget committee and at the office, and she has one of the most far-ranging, convoluted, confusing, chaotic operations that covers more things. It takes a person from when they can crawl to when they're put on the ground, and does a great job. She's a great member.
Thank you.
Very, very, probably the most complex of any one of the departments, much more than the.
So what I'm
Public
hearing is I
Works
should get a raise?
Department.
A bigger raise?
The sky is blue.
This is perfect. This compliment is enough. I don't need
Be
money.
careful, be
I
careful what
just
you
wanted
do.
you to know that I'm not the mean old son of a gun. Some people think.
Okay,
Oh, I know
Thank
you're
you very
not.
much.
I
I
brought that
appreciate
fun
it.
guy
just to
out.
wrap things up.
Hey, you know, we
almost,
could, maybe we could take
8
some
o'clock.
funds, some payroll funds from the police department and give it to you.
We don't have anything else. Can I get a motion to adjourn
Motion to adjourn.
in a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.